This is the calm before the sleep. The nightly bedtime story with no real plot and no important characters. All you need to do is find a comfortable position, let your eyes flutter shut, and let yourself drift away into a cozy, sleepy world. Your story begins now. Welcome to the Cloud Palace, a beautiful pink castle situated an outcrop of fluffy clouds. There is a lot happening in the castle, and it is great fun to relax and witness all of the activity. The water surrounding the Cloud Palace is very pleasant to relax in. There is a big moat surrounding the castle which is warm and filled with Epsom salts and lavender extract. This makes for a very relaxing atmosphere. Oftentimes, if an enemy approaches the castle, they find that they are too preoccupied with having a spa day in the moat to end up bothering any of the inhabitants. Inside the Cloud Palace, you will find your kingdom. All of the castle's residents are rather friendly, and are happy to receive company. All of the castle's residents will enjoy teaching you the royal dance moves, as they are all excellent dancers. They will do it with a smile on their face. In addition to the relaxing moat, there are other protections around the castle. There is always a giant force field made of pink cotton candy. This is another layer of protection that ends up distracting and delighting any unwelcome guests. Oftentimes, the inhabitants of the castle want to eat cotton candy as well, and they end up making friends with the people who were trying to get in. The life of the Cloud Palace is very much alive. The people are always in motion, and it is difficult to ever get bored. There are many surprises in store for those who stay for a long period of time. You will want to spend a lot of time exploring the castle. This castle is home to the benevolent goddess, Tethra. She is very friendly and kind, and is always happy to see you. She is notorious for her patience. One of her greatest abilities is her ability to open portals to a mysterious place called the Void. Once in the Void, Tethra asks you to explore for riches, and collect the celestial orb. This orb is crucial to the upkeep of the Cloud Palace, and it has abilities that she cannot do without. She is still unsure of the contents of the orb, but she knows that it is a very important possession for her. Certain artifacts within the Void can be used to improve the Cloud Palace as well. In the past, a traveler found a ruby staff in the Void. This staff contained powerful magic. The goddess Tethra can wave the staff over a room and make it triple in size. It can also be used to play very relaxing and beautiful sounds that can help the palace residents fall asleep. You will be able to interact with everyone in the castle, each having their own role in the castle's long-term plans. There are also many pets to meet in the Cloud Palace. This world is broken up into a series of castles. You will typically begin your journey in the Cloud Palace. You'll explore it, get to know all the characters, and gain more insight into what's going on in this world. There are many portals to other realms and more clouds to look at, each with its own story to explore. Every castle will have something different and interesting to see. The story about the castle has been hidden and covered up over the course of time. It is a very mysterious place. From the looks of it, the castle has been sitting above the clouds for a very long time, and yet it somehow looks brand new. The lore surrounding it is very different from that of the castle in the sky. There's an abandoned castle below it, abandoned over many years. It's now home to a wide variety of woodland creatures, who have come to make it their special home. The friendly animals living in the Cloud Palace try to take care of each other and take care of the palace. The caretaker of the castle is the Sky Dragon. Though the Sky Dragon may seem intimidating, he is friendly indeed. The dragon still has a close tie to the castle, as he was born and raised there. The Sky Dragon lives in the castle in the sky with a vast array of woodland creatures. Above the castle there is a giant moon that is visible from every window in the castle. The moon seems to watch over the Cloud Palace as the clouds sail gently in the night sky. You will begin your adventure at the Cloud Palace, but not every quest will be found in this castle. There is a whole network of magical portals that have been left unexplored, connecting every castle in this world. You can have a fun time exploring the castle, chatting with the villagers, and then visiting new worlds. Any quest you do will reward you with a new color for your shield. The purple shield can be found in the Cloud Palace, and can only be acquired by completing a quest for the mysterious wizard who lives in one of the towers. The purple shield will only last until you exit the Cloud Palace. Each new shield will cost a certain amount of gems to obtain, though you may also pay with coins depending on whether the merchant is in a good mood. There are a series of different types of rooms in the Cloud's Palace. Each room has a different theme. The Sky Dragon has molded the personality of the Cloud Palace over the course of time. He is much more than just a friendly giant. He is the caretaker of the castle, and there are a whole host of other creatures who are actually in charge. You can chat and interact with all of the inhabitants of the castle. Of course, the occasional dragon will visit you to give you some advice, but there are many other friends to meet as well. There is a village in the clouds, on the far side of the castle, that acts as a safe zone to venture to when exploring the castle. It contains a whole section of forest, full of animals and wild rabbits to see. You'll get to know the villages, and even participate in the seasonal festivals. There's also a group of interesting animals that roam around the village. These animals come and go as they please. Some are friendly, while others are much more reclusive. There are even a couple dragons. The dragons will sometimes go on adventures and come back with artifacts or treasure that they will give to you if you complete their quests. These artifacts are useful to the castle's residents. You can sell the artifacts in the marketplace at the village, or wear them and venture into the forest to see what powers they give you. The forest is filled with shy creatures, such as quails and ogres. While you do not have to go into the forest, it is highly recommended. The castle is quite expansive, with a whole range of rooms and sub-rooms, as well as an expansive world to explore. This is a fascinating world to explore, and there are many secrets to uncover. The Cloud Palace has many secrets to discover. It is said to have a special piece of land, the Blue Vale. This is the area of the castle that is completely invisible from the ground. Legend states that this land is filled with floating islands. However, the residents of the castle haven't explored it yet. Perhaps you can be the first to do so. This land is left mostly undiscovered, but you can go on expeditions to the Blue Vale if you're willing to talk to the villagers and get a group of adventurers to go with you. The Blue Vale is an interesting land indeed. There are rumors about the islands of the Blue Vale. There is said to be a volcano of magical lava, with special properties. The volcano isn't too far off from the entrance of the Blue Vale, and it is possible to reach it by jumping off the floating islands and scaling up the mountain. From there it is possible to jump into the lava lake. The volcano is the main focus of the training regimen in the castle. Once you become strong enough, you can go on expeditions into the volcanoes of the Blue Vale, where you may find gems and amulets. Your shield changes into the color of the gems that you've accumulated. The more powerful the shield is, the more gems it costs. If it is quite an expensive shield, you may find yourself in debt. When that happens, you might want to ask the townspeople to give gold in exchange for completing tasks. One of them may even be able to offer you a map with magical properties that can help you out if you're stuck. Another way to get help is to make friends with the villagers. For instance, you will be able to buy weapons from your friend at the shop. These weapons range from magic wands to slingshots. There is also a potions shop, where you can buy healing powders and rare magic. In the shop you will be able to trade potions with other villagers. Some of the potions may be stolen from the castle, others may be sent there by a messenger. You will have to pay a hefty price for them, but it is always worth it. Just be careful that you don't overuse them. These potions are powerful. For example, if you want to be a little taller, there is nothing wrong with drinking a teaspoon of tallness ointment. However, if you drink the whole bottle, then you may need to see the witch to make a reversal potion for you. You can also find healing berries and other useful things in the potion shop. Many of the villagers are happy to help you with any problems you might have. Whether it is just asking them for their advice, helping with something in town, or sending a messenger to another village. It is always nice to have friends in the community. The Blue Vale is rumored to have an incredibly relaxing hot spring. Travelers have told of the incredibly pleasant and bubbling waters. It may even be wise to bring a satchel of essential oils in case these rumors turn out to be true. The hot spring will make you experience a similar feeling as if you were on a different planet. Over the years, the Blue Vale has been altered by a mysterious fellow known as the Blue Rider. New materials, structures and devices have been added to the area. Some pieces of equipment that were once found in the forest have been moved to the mountain. He spent some time trying to build a spa in the Blue Vale, but then realized that the natural beauty doesn't need any extra bells and whistles. Instead of committing himself to the Blue Vale, he chose to wander the lands collecting lost items and completing quests, or even selling his crafts to people. The area known as the Seven Mines is an area close to the border of the Blue Vale. Here, deep in the ground, you will find the underground mines that the Blue Rider first found. The mines are full of copper ore, quartz, and even rare sapphires. They are protected by 3 strong vines that swing from the top of the mines and ward off any intruders. It is said that the 7 mines were once owned by the king. However, the king was greedy and he ended up losing the money. His lands were given to his son, a boy with an incredibly long name. The son, however, didn't like the job. He was far too young and he had to take care of his younger brothers. He was young and had to flee from his own country. He came to the Blue Vale, hoping that he could live his life more peacefully. That boy grew up to be the Blue Rider, and he became an expert on peace and tranquility. He even talked about opening up a spa in the Cloud Palace. The gentlest, most soft bear in all of Cloud Palace lives in a cave near the Blue Vale. It is said that the bear has spent a lifetime on top of the mountain. It was once rumored that the bear was so fierce that no witch could ever defeat it, but that rumor was quickly dismissed as false when the villagers saw how soft and nice the bear was. Bears are not known to be very friendly animals, but this one has no problem sitting down and talking with people. A year or so ago, the Blue Rider befriended a young bear in the forest and brought it to the village. The bear was more curious and friendly than anyone expected. he was able to talk with the bear and learn the secret to what made him so cuddly and nice. That information is what he used to become the Blue Rider. If you go to the Forest of Iron next to the entrance of the Cloud Palace, the bear who lives inside might just be willing to talk to you. The wild blue finch is known as the royal bird of the Cloud Palace. It is also the only bird in the entire area that has a taste for fermented beverages. When you see this bird around the village, he will often be talking with other wild birds. He is so graceful that he is often flying in enormous curlicues in the sky. He is a very playful bird. He will throw wild blossoms and flowers at you. The town of Palmerale can be found on a remote peninsula in the Blue Vale. On the west side of the island is a long and fast-flowing river. Most of the residents of the island live on the riverbank. The east side of the island is forested. Most of the trees of the forest are used to create grand thrones for the Cloud Palace. A mysterious person also often cuts down trees in the west side of the island. That wood is used for an unknown purpose. The people living on the east side claim that their island is so beautiful and full of trees that they don't even need furniture or homes. No one knows what is going on here, but there are always rumors of rocks that are naturally shaped like chairs, or trees that grow in the shape of huts. There are very few houses constructed in the entire island. There are many legends surrounding the island. The most popular one is about a group of Blue Riders. As the story goes, a group of Blue Riders went into the forest in search of a big dragon. When they got deep into the forest, they encountered a mysterious figure. It was an old man with a very long name. As it turns out, it was the man who had lost all of the 7 mines. He was so greedy that he wanted to live out his last days in the Cloud Palace, and that is why he wanted the 7 mines. It took a long time to convince the man to go with them. As a way to prove that they were his friends, they showed him that the 7 mines were still intact. The man went with them willingly, though it was a large and dangerous journey to the Cloud Palace. These stories explain the reverence that the villagers have for the Cloud Palace. They believe that it is somehow connected to the Sky Dragon, and that it is the dragon who made the island so beautiful. They believe that one day, the dragon will come back and free the 7 mines from the greedy king's hands. The largest glacier in the Blue Vale is called the Dry Storm Glacier. It is said that during dry storm season, it is impossible to see the glacier. The Dry Storm Glacier is a very cold place. It is located at the base of a steep mountain next to the Cloud Palace. In the past, the glacier slowly crept down from the mountains, but now it runs like a river, down the mountain and all the way to the sea. People who live near the glacier use the ice for making rafts. It is said that if you visit it in the middle of the night, or early morning hours when the glacier has receded, you can feel its cold breath. It is said that the glacier will whisper a secret to you if you visit it at the right time, and if you bring it the right offerings. The cavern of the Erlegang Forest is the most legendary and mysterious place in the Blue Vale. Some say that this forest is so old that the trees are actually older than the world itself. It is said that the cave in the middle of the forest is filled with powerful magic. Some of the best sorcerers have been born in the Erlegang Forest. They are the ones who released the magic that makes the forest so powerful. The magic in the forest prevents anyone from entering the cave, and if someone does manage to get inside, they will be given a powerful magic totem. Some people say that this is the cave in which a dragon lives. Others believe that the cave is the place in which great treasure lies. If a person were to discover the cave, that person would surely become wealthy, and would have a very bright future ahead of them. In the past, there was a large military fortress called Glorian Fort on the east side of the Cloud Palace. The island was very large, and it had an ocean port. One night, while the sun was still up, a powerful thunderstorm rocked the island. The fortress's walls began to crack, and a strange storm began to come from within the fort. The fort became covered in a thick fog, and all of the lights began to go out. The strange fog had stopped the wind, so the doorways of the fortress had been destroyed. When the fog finally dissipated, 3 large rocks were left standing in the fortress. They were shaped like armoires, and they even had compartments inside them that opened on top. However, there was something odd about them. One of them had a bow, and a quiver on the end of it. The other 2 were completely smooth. The rocks were actually beautiful creatures, and their names were Elzel and Zerek. The elves who were in the fort when the rocks appeared said that they were from the ancient kingdom of Garmas. The elves said that the rocks had been created when the ancient kings of Garmas arrived at the island, and that the rocks were a gift from their king. The elves would sit in the fortress's armoire and talk to the rocks. Whenever the rocks heard a voice, they would move until the voice was no longer audible. It is said that it was thanks to the elves that the power of the stones was not completely lost when the rocks disappeared. When the elves left, the island was left in a state of uncertainty. However, a brave hero emerged and found a way to restore the island to its former glory. He found a small farm that had been abandoned in the forest. The farm owner's son had been hiding on the farm for a long time, and he was very brave. The farmer had told the son of the Sky Dragon, whose name was Snowblade. One day, Snowblade found a lost lamb in the forest. He took the lamb home and began to feed it, and the lamb loved him. Soon, all of the sheep and lambs who lived in the cloud palace would follow him around and would come when he called then. Snowblade's favorite sheep was named Trip. Snowblade noticed that there was something different special Trip. The sheep's coat had a grey tinge to it, and it was more coarse than a normal sheep's coat. Snowblade noticed that Trip would never bleep during the day. One day, Snowblade was surprised when he heard a splash. He ran to the water and saw that Trip was flying. He looked at him in amazement, and asked how he knew how to fly. At that moment, Trip shapeshifted into a very large figure and thanked Snowblade for all of his help. Trip said that Snowblade had treated him with kindness and respect when he was a powerless little sheep, without knowing that he was actually a powerful shapeshifter. Because of this, Trip granted Snowblade one wish. The lesson of this story is to treat all creatures, big and small, with kindness. This lesson is taught to all school children of the Cloud Palace. The Cloud Palace is actually made up of 3 different castles. The first one is the Fortress of Finale, which is located on the ocean side of the island. The second is called the Fortress of Andes. It is located on the mountain side of the island. The last castle is located on the island's northwestern shore. The entrance to the Fortress of Andes is in the forest, and it is guarded by a wall. A hole in the wall allows access to the land. However, the hole in the wall does not go far. It is where the drinking water of the palace falls back into the ocean. The Fortress of Andes has many towers, and it has an underground tunnel that goes to the edge of the island. There are massive stone crabs that live on the surface of the beach beside the fortress. At the southern tip of the island is a desert, and in the very center of it is an ancient temple with a round pool in the center. The water in the pool is pleasant to swim in. When anyone goes to swim in the pool, strange patterns appear on the walls of the room. It is not known why this happens. The 4 pillars that are in the room contain powder and fire that, when mixed together, produce a powerful sleepiness that affects everyone in the room. This temple is so very old that a number of elf relics have been uncovered inside of it. The temple is even older than the elves of the island. The magic found here is only a small portion of what the entire temple has to offer. The Temple of the Northern Sea Temple is located on the highest point of the island. It is made of marble, and it is located on the landward side of the island, which is a part of a cove. Because the western side of the island is made up of rocks, there are no homes on the landward side. The whole island is ruled by the ancient king, who has a magical sail that can control the ocean. Because of this, This temple has been a popular destination for the people of the island, especially those who wish to learn the magic of the sea. This temple is also one of the places in the Cloud Palace that people go to learn about the god of the sea. The tower is located in the castle of Andes, near the edge of the cliff, on the northwestern side of the island. It is so far inland that you would think that the tower is located in a country far, far away from the castle. However, if you consult a map, then you will see that Andes is the highest point on the island. The entrance to the tower is guarded by one of the strongest magical shields in the North Kingdom. At the base of the tower is a shallow pond, which is sacred to the goddess Dala. People will be barred from entering the tower until they give thanks to the goddess. It is also known that, before the dawn of morning, the goddess Dala will descend from her boat into the ocean, swim to the top of the tower, and pray for everyone in the Cloud Palace to be kind. Also, if one of the goddess's sisters hears of someone who has been mean to even a single creature, they will tell this to the goddess Dala. The goddess Dala will then go out to the ocean and make an offering to the creatures. The pine tree is one of the most ancient trees on the Cloud Palace grounds. Its roots are so huge that they go down into the sea. The leafless branches are large, and when the tree is fully grown, it can span the entirety of the ocean. The trees of the Cloud Palace are famous for their healing power. Some think that when the tree is cut, its leaves, roots, and bark can revive people who are sick. The saffron flower is the most sacred flower in the palace. The elves of the island are said to have traded in saffron with the lost continent of Lemuria. The saffron flower is very precious to the goddess Dala. The saffron flower's color changes depending on the season, and it has a strong healing power. If you cut a saffron flower, you will see that it becomes pale green, and lets off a mysterious shimmer. There are also many fragrant cypress trees on the palace grounds. There are many different kinds of cacti here. There is one that is shaped like a pea pod. The pepper plant has many little divots on its leaves. There are also many kinds of lilies in the garden. If you look at the cliffs in the valley around the Cloud Palace, you will see that they are full of many different kinds of violets. This is because there are so many different varieties of flowers, and new hybrids are created annually by the palace botanists. There are red daisies, white roses, and pink tulips, just to name a few. The grass is nicely manicured, and there are several different kinds of flowers that grow on it. The flowers do not bloom for very long, but they do grow quickly. The cherry trees grow here, and the flowers are deliciously sweet. The waterfall near the Cloud Palace has a large tree growing right in the middle of it. The tree is the biggest of all the trees in the country. The tree has leaves that are red with yellow centers. This is the tree from which all of the water in the land flows. The water nourishes the people in the palace, and the nearby counties. The water flows into the ocean and is carried all the way to the faraway land of Lemuria. This is only a small fraction of the vast number of wonderful plants on the Cloud Palace Island. These plants grow wild on the grounds of the Cloud Palace, and only the expert botanists are allowed to collect them. Plants are collected from the wild by cutting the leaves and flowers, or, if they are old and too damaged, they may be cleaned and salted to make them tastier. The palace botanists then use their skills and knowledge to transform the plants into all sorts of useful objects. If you get hungry while visiting the Cloud Palace, you will be delighted to know that there is a large green treetop filled with the most delicious berries. The berries are known as elvenberries, and you can see many of them growing on the branches of the tree. You will also notice that there are various fruits and vegetables growing on the forest floor. And the mushrooms at the base of the tree are incredible. You will not need a mycologist to analyze them, as all of the mushrooms have been tested to be edible and delicious. The chipmunks and squirrels will go out of their way to help you forage for mushrooms. It is safe to say that you will be making some new friends while you are in the woods. Since the Cloud Palace is so close to the ocean, its waters are fresh and clear. The water is a deep turquoise color, and it makes a fantastic aquarium. There are many kinds of fish and dolphins visible, even from the shores. The palace consists of a single island, which lies just off the coast. The closest island is the main island, and the faraway island belongs to the goddess Dalla. The clouds that cover the entire island are home to the goddess, and they are so pure that they are known as the goddess's robes. They serve as a protection against evil sprites. The Temple of Cloud is a beautiful and perfectly round place. The temple has a gleaming building on top of it that is painted with white and blue. All of the pillars that support the building are polished to a high sheen. The roof of the temple is very large, and it forms a dome. This dome is pure WHTIE. The top of the dome is made up of glass, so that visitors may watch the sun and the moon at all times. There are several separate domes on the top of the building, but the most colorful one is at the top. The courtyard is the central square of the temple. Here there is a fountain, and the ceiling of the courtyard is stained glass. All of the stained glass comes from ancient paintings on old cave walls. You will see numerous cacti, ferns, and other plants here. The vines that grow on the walls of the courtyard have their leaves caressed with pink, yellow, and green. Some of the vines are shaped like animals. Other vines have been crossed with many shapes and come together to form a beautiful design. The colors on the vines have been carefully selected so that they have a calming effect on the visitor. The vines themselves grow in the courtyard and must be coaxed along with a little water. The inner courtyard of the temple is called the fountain basin. Here the fountain constantly runs. It is supplied by the goddess Dala's powers. The water is crystal clear, and it creates a beautiful pattern. The entire courtyard is illuminated by its colors. When the water makes contact with the walls, it creates a solid rainbow of colors. The walls of the courtyard are painted topaz and gold. All of the pathways of the courtyard are lined with stone. They are made of finely cut stones that resemble pillars. Each pillar is engraved with a symbol. The courtyard of the temple has a brightly colored garden. Its trees, plants, and flowers all come from the sky. It contains mostly soft desert plants like juniper, cactus, and aloe vera. Here the flowers have grown in delicate shapes. A walking path surrounds the gardens, and the borders of the paths are painted blue. This makes the flowers look as if they are floating in the air. The desert is filled with flowers, which pop against the sandy landscape. The tree in the center of the desert is tall and contains many secrets of the goddess Dala. The tree is covered with symbols that have been left over the course of generations. They are decorated with red ribbons, and each ribbon is also painted with gold. The temple's interior is very beautiful. It has soft yellow walls that have been lined with fresh flowers. The floor is a soft white, and it has been polished to a high sheen. Small plates of silver and gold make the floor shine. They have been hammered into small tiles that fit perfectly into the floor. The plates of silver are lined with rubies. The plates of gold are set into a decorative silver frame. The frames on the plates of silver have mirror trim. The glasses on the walls were formed from the images of plants. They depict different kinds of plants and flowers. The eastern side of the temple contains a beautiful work of art. This is a mysterious painting. It is very strange, because it seems to be alive. There are no shadows or other details. The picture has been left completely intact. It appears to be a sky. The sky is made up of several colors, but the sky itself is white. The painting looks like it has the form of a cactus, but it does not look as if the plants were cut into the painting. Instead, they seem to have grown out of the painting. Looking at the painting gives a meditative effect to the observer. It's as if the viewer can view the clouds in the sky. The western side of the temple has a very powerful work of art. It features a water spirit. It is playing a lute and wearing a beautiful robe. Its face is difficult to discern, and its body is of a silvery green color. It is holding a green stone that has a crystalline appearance. The color of the stone appears to be a perfect blue. The temple is famous for its cacti. There are many varieties of cacti in the grove, and it is fascinating to view them all. Some cacti have purple flowers while others are white with blue flowers. There are many varieties of cactus here, including button cactus and jacama cactus. One of the most interesting places to visit in the Cloud Palace is the cave. The cave is so beautiful that it appears to have been made by the gods. The caves contain stone pillars, sculptures of animals and mythical creatures, and paintings. The works of art that decorate the walls of the cave are many. Some are animals, while others are mythological creatures and cacti. These works of art are very beautiful and fascinating. It's possible that the artists took many years to create the caves, but it's also possible that the cave has been here since the beginning of time. It is believed that the gods once lived in these caves. The paintings depict scenes from the myths. The paintings of cacti and animals seem to be expressions of hope. Cacti and animals have never been fully painted before, and the artist behind the paintings seems to have the ability to show feelings. In the dark portion of the cave, small pools of water have formed. The pools are beautifully colored. The animal statues and paintings are scattered throughout the grove of cacti. It's amazing to see them all together. This is a beautiful and unusual place. There are many different types of cacti that can be found in the grove. Many cacti grow in clusters, and others grow alone. If you are ever visiting the Cloud Palace, I hope that you will remember to come to the caves. This rock formation is one of the most recognizable parts of the cave. The pools of water play tricks on the eye. The water looks as if it is only a few feet deep, when in reality it is hundreds of feet deep, and teeming with civilizations that are difficult to discern from the outside. If you have snorkel gear, you can dive into the cave pools and see the civilizations created by the merpeople and the water spirits. The civilizations that live here can be visited, and you can go into the caves. In the cave that is deeper than the surface water, you can walk among the civilizations. This is an exciting place to visit. The Cloud Palace Arboretum is a wonderful place to visit, and is a must-see for those visiting. It's open all year, and the villagers are always excited to show it off. There are many activities planned for the autumn season. The Arboretum is also home to an unusual rock formation. This formation is called the Wave Rock. Its unique appearance makes it a very compelling place to visit. You can spend hours exploring the rocks that make up the formation, and you'll discover many secrets that are hidden inside the rock. Visitors are often amazed by the collection of rock formations at the Arboretum, and many stop to try to learn their secrets and read the runes. There are many attractions in the Arboretum that can be visited. The main building contains a small potion shop, a gift shop, and an amphitheater. The theater also has a restaurant. The small gift shop sells many different types of merchandise, including crystals and spells. The Arboretum is located in the Red Rock Canyon. It is a few kilometers away from the palace, but it is still considered to be on the palace grounds. It is located on the hillside between the castle and the goddess Dala's island. The red rocks in the Arboretum are hard and have distinctive dark colors. Many people believe that this is where the planet Mercury, the messenger of the gods, was created. In his travels, the messenger of the gods found a rock that glowed, and he believed that it was his duty to find the planet that created such beautiful rocks. You can visit the Arboretum to see how much of the planet's history is revealed by the red rocks. The Cloud Palace is truly one of the most unique places that you can visit. It's beautiful, and it's a place where visitors can travel back in time. Be sure to visit it, and learn about the history of your planet. Have you ever wanted to know about the universe, with alchemists helping you find your way? The Palace Laboratory will take you through galaxies, stars and planets. It will also teach you how to travel through the universe, and make yourself as powerful as the goddess Dala herself. It will teach you many things that you didn't know about before. The mad scientist employed at the castle spends her weekends going through sandstorms and meeting strange creatures. The desert planet that you can visit with her strange potions is called Halcyon. This is one of the many moons of the planet Mercury. She is also a master geologist. The castle grounds are scattered with glowing blue rocks that she has spent a lifetime studying. The blue rock is called Alcamenes, and it is one of the strongest rocks in the universe. The purple rock is formed in a similar process, deep underground. The purple and blue rocks are very powerful, which is one of the reasons that the planet is so powerful. If you look closely at the purple rock, you will see the names of the planets and moons of the known universe written on it. The white rock is called Cruciates. The white rock is the biggest known rock in the universe. When it falls, it forms volcanoes, which changes the composition of everything around it. These three rocks are among the most powerful rocks in the known universe. The rocks found on the grounds hold some of the answers to the many mysteries of the Cloud Palace. The garden in the middle of the palace supplies all of the food eaten by the people and creatures who live in the palace. When the garden first opened, it was only ever used to feed the royal family and their nobles. As the palace has grown, so has the garden. The queen uses the flowers and vegetables in the garden to make the crowns that she uses in her ceremonies. She has such a passion for gardening that she built her own greenhouse to work with the plants in a more controlled environment. The greenhouse is shaped like a flower, which helps the queen utilize the sun and moon cycles, and makes it more efficient for her to tend to the plants. The Queen's garden also contains flowers and trees that are used in rituals. Many of the rituals are used to improve the health and well-being of the villagers. The Queen will also occasionally send her sky people out into the world to collect information. These sky people are blessed with the power of intuition, and can help those in need. The sky people will go into the village, and quickly assess how they can help. They will then provide the villagers with whatever they need, so that they can get by. In this way, the Queen helps her village by providing food and comfort for the whole village. This is one of the many gifts that she has given her subjects over the years. The Queen is so dedicated to her village, that she will protect him from any danger. The book that the Queen uses to keep track of blessings of the Sky People is called the Notebook of the Gifts. She reads this notebook every night. The planets and moons of the palace are all controlled by the characters from the fairy tales that the Queen reads to her people. The sun and moon, wind and rain, and the cold and heat are all controlled by these characters. The characters are all able to give more power to the various planets and moons of the palace. The Queen collects the blue tears of the fairy tales when the fairy tale characters are at rest. The tears of the fairy tales give the planets, different colored planets, their energy and beauty. The king and queen choose the planets and moons that they want to help. For example, they could make the sun and moon red, so that the planets wouldn't look so sad, and the red sun and the red moon still would give the planets their energy. If someone was to disturb the palace, even for just a minute, then the legends say that the sun would be red for a week. But this never happened, because the sun and moon went into battle with each other. The sun and moon would fight, and if the sun won, then its natural beauty would be restored. If the moon won, then the planet and its moon would be restored to their natural colors. This battle gave the world back their colors and their beauty. When the Queen is away, her gardener has to take over all of her responsibilities. The gardener is a very elderly man who loves tending to his plants. He is able to listen to the plants' wishes, because he is one with the dirt and the seedlings that grow in the ground. This is only possible because the queen has made the gardener so well versed in the greenhouse that he knows how to care for all the plants better than anyone else in the Cloud Palace. There are places inside the greenhouse that look like playgrounds. Many of the children that live inside of the palace enjoy playing with the flowers and trees. There is a throne that sits in the middle of the garden. This throne sits in honor of the queen. The people who get this throne often play with the flowers and trees on the ground. This makes them happier, because it gives them a place to belong. All of the sky people that the queen sends out into the world have the ability to communicate with the plants that grow in the ground and in the soil. All of the plants understand and feel what the sky people are thinking. If there is a problem with one of the plants, then it can sense it, and then send a message to the queen. Then the queen knows about the problem, and she can solve it. But this is not always the case. Sometimes the queen has to send a sky person out into the world, and tell him to try and solve the problem. This is a game that the children of the palace play when they are done with their lessons. There is a crane that flies around the greenhouse that children use as a frisbee. They play the game with many of the trees and flowers. The plants and trees grow as tall as they can, so that the children can climb as high as they want to. This way, the children can pretend to be kings and queens who fly around the sky, and chase the crane that is playing the game. The Cloud Palace is a truly beautiful and magical place.